We are coming off the heels of the euphoric and nostalgic celebrations of Jamaica's 61st anniversary of independence. Yes, as we move forward, let's embrace what unifies us and work to find solutions to our differences. It's another exciting Wednesday edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Theodore Henry, welcoming you to another culturally stimulating edition. You don't want to miss what's coming up in the show today. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this quick break.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, August 9, 2023. Starting tomorrow, August 10 through to the 31st, applications will be opened for 500 targeted school leavers to be a part of the government's Learning and Investment for Transformation LIFT program. The program was officially launched at this morning's post-cabinet press briefing. It's a collaboration between the Ministry of Education and Youth and the Office of the Prime Minister through the Heart NSTA Trust. The $2 billion program will benefit 2,500 fifth and sixth form students over a 5-year period. To ensure that school leavers across the island participate, at least 8 people from each of the 63 constituencies will be selected. LIFT aims to provide high school graduates with long-term opportunities for education, employment, and social integration.
At the core of this program is social and economic mobility. That's at the core. That's what we want. We want our students to leave this program feeling that they've been equipped.
As a ministry, we have been moving to reorient our approach to education to make it more accessible, relevant, and practical. In particular, we've taken steps towards a more inclusive system, recognizing the importance of technical and vocational education training, because that is an area of great need in Jamaica.
This initiative is essentially a part of the Prime Minister and the government's thrust to capture every single young person so that we can take them off the streets, we can take them out of the homes, we can engage them in something productive.
Applicants must be 17 years of age or older, possess a minimum of 3 CSEC subjects, including mathematics and English, provide 2 character references, and must have graduated high school within the last year. Interested school leavers may access applications online at the Heart NSTA Trust website or submit the forms at their Member of Parliament's constituency office. LIFT is a 3-phase program that involves an orientation, engagement, and immersion period. The orientation, which is expected to start in September, will see participants undergoing diagnostic testing to gauge their interests and being introduced to financial literacy. This is followed by an 8-week skills training engagement period to focus on letter writing, interviewing techniques, and workplace etiquette. LIFT participants will also secure a bank account, TRN, NIS, and a driver's license during this period. It is to be followed by a 1-year job placement at a public or private sector entity starting November. Participants will be paid a monthly stipend of $85,000, $15,000 of which will be set aside for compulsory savings. A new 4-story classroom block being constructed at Homewood Technical High School in Manchester is scheduled for completion in 10 months. Education Minister Fable Williams broke ground last week for the $185 million facility being funded by the National Education Trust, NET. The new block will comprise 11 classrooms along with bathrooms, a staff room, and a lift for wheelchair users. The school's electrical system is also slated to be upgraded soon. Minister Williams says the development is a step towards providing students and teachers with an improved environment for learning.
What we're witnessing here today is a continuation of the commitment of the government of Jamaica. This fiscal year, the budget for large infrastructure is $1.05 billion. And each year, I know that we will continue to get the allocation, budget space to allow us to do these works that are so needed in our schools.
The project is part of the government's primary and secondary infrastructure program being implemented by the Education Ministry through the NET. A $37 million digital retrofit diagnostic system procured for the Black River Hospital is boosting patient care. The system is facilitating faster imaging with superior quality, less exposure to radiation, as well as better workflow and reduced operation costs. The diagnostic system was purchased by the Southern Regional Health Authority. At the handover recently, Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton said it was in keeping with government's efforts to digitize public health care.
We have signed in total, I think it's a $15 million contract that involves networking our health centers and hospitals, which is now in progress. Flo is doing that. We're providing the tablets, we're providing the networking arrangements, and that is in full throttle, over 100 health centers and hospitals across the country.
Meanwhile, plans are in place to upgrade the Black River Hospital from a Type C to a Type B facility. This will allow the hospital to offer more specialized services. The Minister of Health says an architectural design is being sourced for the construction of an additional building.
What a Type B means for simplicity is that we add greater numbers of services, so lab services, more specialized services that can be offered to patients.
And finally, Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, Olivia Grange, has condemned the recent attacks on women and girls in the country. In a statement released yesterday, Minister Grange said she was heartbroken by the attack on 3 women during a home invasion in Trelawney on August 6, which resulted in the death of 15-year-old Jamila Cole. She remarked that the unspeakable violence meted out to Jamila, her mother, and cousin at their house in Albert Town had shocked and saddened the nation. Minister of Education and Youth Fable Williams visited the family with a team to offer support in the wake of what she describes as another dark chapter for the nation. She's urging residents to share information that can help with the investigation process.
All I can do at this moment is encourage persons in this community, persons who live close by, persons who may live elsewhere but have some information, to just step forward and give the police whatever information you have. We need this crime solved. We need somebody to be held accountable.
In her statement, Minister Grange also referenced the recent killing of Heather Moyston in Kingston in what is reported to be an incident of domestic dispute. She said, while the nation was heartbroken by these incidents, as a people we must unite to end the violence and bring the perpetrators to justice. The minister is urging Jamaicans to report domestic violence by calling the Bureau of Gender Affairs at 876-754-8577-8 or 876-929-2997. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
Story time again. Yes, it's our story, and we are proud to share our music, food, culture, and people with the world. Nothing can dim the light of the unique story of Jamaica, one that continues to be written as we move through time to become the best version of ourselves.
Good morning, boys and girls. How are we doing this morning?
Fine, thank you. And how are you?
Great. I am well. Thank you for asking. So today I'm going to tell you a story. It's a remarkable time in our history as a country. Are you ready to hear?
Yes, miss.
The excitement was boiling like a pot of red peas soup. Rosie, you see Pauline? Miss Jackie asked. No, Miss Jackie, I replied. Lord of mercy now. How may I go find her in this crowd here? Said Miss Jackie frantically. Miss Jackie was Paul's grandmother. All right, listen to me now, Rosie. You and Paul stay right here, so. Because if you no last today, my head a go hot me, said Miss Jackie as she disappeared in the crowd with her hands holding her head. Scores of school children lined the streets as Paul and I giggled and chatted about what we saw. The cool afternoon breeze and the bright evening sunshine melted the anticipation building in the streets. Me can't see the Princess Rosie, she there too far, said Paul, as persons around us chatted about seeing Princess Margaret's car driving up on Tom Redcombe Road up to the National Stadium. Miss Jackie came back and grabbed Paul, and she was adamant that Miss Pauline was lost. Miss Pauline was our neighbor who lived right across the road from us in the blue house. Children, it's time to get to the stadium because that is where the big celebration will start, said Miss Jackie as she wheeled us excitedly down the road. The sound boxes on the side of the roads belted out sweet reggae music. It was a grand celebration running right across the island, from rural towns to right here in Kingston. I especially wanted to see the flag raised and hear the anthem for the first time. The sun settled orange in the sky over at the National Arena. There was an exciting energy sticking like magnets everywhere we turned. Miss Jackie helped Paul and I to get to a spot where we could watch the performance. My heart leaped inside as I imagined the joy of staying awake until midnight. Miss Jackie went to buy food from one of the vendors when Paul came up with this not-so-wise idea. Rosie, let's see if we can go right over there to get a better spot to see everything, he said as I smirked reluctantly. No, Paul, you alone go on, I told him, warning that he would later regret it. I could see Miss Jackie over by the green shop collecting goodies for us. When I looked back, Paul was gone. "Where Paul there?" shrieked Miss Jackie. One of the soup fell to the ground, almost burning her foot. Then one lady with a big voice tried to get everyone's attention. "Yes, sir, a soon midnight now. Jamaica independence are coming," shouted the lady. There was no time to find Paul now. Down in the center of the arena, the flag was getting ready to be hoisted. The darkness stood still. It was the beginning of change. This was the moment I had been waiting for, as light shone on the flagstaff. It was the gentle breeze that blew across my face as our flag hoisted in the crisp air. My eyes watered as I glimpsed the light on the green, gold, and black flag raised in glorious independence. Yes, it's official. August 6, 1962. What touched me? I screamed, grabbing the hand that was pulling me out of daze at what I just witnessed. The anthem ringing out with a melodious triumph of victory in every note. "Paul," I startled. "I had the best view, Rosie. I saw everything. I was near the front," grinned Paul from ear to ear. "Oh, Paul, you better let Miss Jackie dance until she forgets how you ran away," I told him. We giggled as the celebrations continued. Miss Jackie had surely forgotten as she too was dancing the night away. Miss Pauline was there too, dancing and singing the joys of the freedom of a new nation. Miss Pauline later told us how she saw when the hot soup dropped from Miss Jackie, and that's how she found us.
Although I wasn't there at Independence Day, I kind of felt it, when they said how she was dazing at the flag when it was hoisted.
I think it was a very wonderful story, and I learned a lot about our independence, and especially I love that part where it said the soup dropped and it almost hit her foot, it almost burnt her foot. And when I heard that it was a lot of crowded from rural to Kingston, it sounded like it was a very big event.
I wish I was there, but this story just makes me feel that I am there.
What are your dreams for Jamaica?
My name is Janelle Griffiths, and my dream for Jamaica is that there will be less violence in the country.
My dream for Jamaica is for the crime and violence rate to decrease so that Jamaica may become a better place.
My dream is for Jamaicans to appreciate their country more.
For us to express ourselves and work together as one independent nation.
I think that we should work on lowering the crime index as well, and also we need to increase our economy a little bit, and we need to build up our environment as well, and we need to obey the laws.
To decrease the poverty, because many times I see homeless persons on the road begging for money because they have no food or shelter.
People will respect and obey the law so that every day can be an incident and accident-free day.
For us to be more appreciative of our teachers, because our teachers are basically our superheroes.
We continue to paint on the canvas of time, and this time it's the Jamaican story of visual arts. Watch as we reflect on this journey of capturing Jamaica's identity over the past 60-plus years.
The music often reflects what's happening in the visual arts. There are several visual artists that have designed album covers for a lot of other people like Peter Tosh and so on.
The head of the school at that time was Barrington Watson, and he set about putting in place a diploma program.
Since independence, visual arts expression in Jamaica has shifted significantly.
The story of Jamaican visual arts remains a strikingly colorful mixture. It's one that's layered with the details of artists stroking their brushes with intentionality. Some using their toothstone axes to create sculptures that tell stories of our blackness. Others whose pencils and chalks have mastered realism, and then more who are preserving elements of our historical experiences and newer issues. The last 60 years of Jamaica's visual arts landscape easily provides a fully immersive and stimulating experience. Along with independence came a new impulse to establish national identity through different areas of the country, including the visual arts.
The visual arts in Jamaica began not very long before independence, with the return of Edna Manley and Norman Manley to Jamaica. Edna Manley was herself an artist. When they returned to the island, she is famously remembered for remarking that she saw nothing that reflected the people of Jamaica. In other words, drawings that were being done by children in schools looked like European children. And she set about trying to change that with her own work and with the establishment of a school at the Institute of Jamaica. So independence and the early development of visual arts in Jamaica coincided greatly.
This interest to see more Black representation prompted the introduction of modern art ideas from artists like Albert Huey, Milton Harley, and Barrington Watson. Education in art, particularly through the School of Visual Arts, moved from part-time classes,
offering courses in sculpture and courses in painting. They started also ceramics with Cecil Ball. So there was Albert Huey and Cecil Ball were her co-founders of the school.
Introducing classes granting diploma, now with a new name, the Cultural Training Center, and later formalization by the state as the Edna Manley College of the Visual and Performing Arts emerged with the degree granting status.
We were very fortunate to have leaders in the early days and after independence who thought that developing Jamaica culturally was very central to developing the country. Both Michael Manley and Edward Siaga were responsible for the Cultural Training Center.
In that period too, the National Gallery of Jamaica emerged, displaying and celebrating true Jamaican art. Through the gallery, many of our self-taught artists were able to exhibit under the label of Intuitive.
People like Brother Brown, people like Capo. In Jamaica, we had a lot of artists who never went to school, but they could create images that had a certain emotional power.
It was David Boxer who coined the term intuitive to describe this aspect of Jamaican art, a term now recognized and used globally. He rejected such terms as primitive, naive, and folk, as he felt that there was a sophistication there of color and form that immediately challenged the very designation, primitive.
Also, in the 80s into the 90s, you began to see a little bit more of individual expression, more of artists producing artwork that reflected some of the turmoil of the late 70s and early 80s.
In the 1990s, the Caribbean region was opening up, and right along with that came a flood of Pan-Africanist ideas, which started to impact the visual art story our nation was still writing. That collision became evident in the work of popular artists such as Petrona Morrison, Stanford Watson, and Omari Ra. There was also the rise of monuments being produced from the hands of famous sculptors such as Basil Watson, Laura Facey, and Raymond Watson.
In the 2000s, you'll see more of what's happening in the diaspora and diaspora artists speaking about their own realities as well as their connections with Jamaica.
Also, Paint Jamaica's mural project took off in Kingston.
It has been the kind of cross-pollination again with the realities of the global artistic community, with people seeing the dynamism and the potential of murals beyond being a memorial, but ways to create urban renewal, ways to create environments of safety.
And our biennials continue to evolve with a changing artistic landscape.
The biennial has evolved in a way to be much more inclusive of the diaspora. So it's been reaching out in its scope, and that has been reflected in what is exhibited in this current biennial.
So that cross-pollination between Jamaicans living in different places has created an overarching trajectory of how our 60th year in the arts have come to a sort of global village in how Jamaicans are looking at themselves, both as Jamaicans at home and abroad.
Keep that smile on their faces and preserve their innocence. Cherish the moments you have with them and create the best memories. Let's inspire our children to dream big and work hard to achieve all they aspire to be. Take the time to listen to our children and really hear their side of the story. Our children deserve love and the right to access their basic needs. Do your part and protect our children.
We close off the show with a look through the lenses of our history at a critical public service entity that has evolved over time.
Did you know Jamaica was the first British colony to establish a post office? Yes, that's right, a post office. In 1663, King Charles II, the then reigning monarch, instructed Sir Thomas Lynch, Lieutenant Governor of Jamaica, to make the necessary arrangements for the establishment of a post office in the island. But this was met with obstacles, and on October 31, 1671, Gabriel Martin was appointed Postmaster General and was instructed to build the first post office in the then capital, Santo Diego de la Vega, now known as Spanish Town. It was known as the Postal Corporation of Jamaica, which operated as a sub-branch of the British Post Office. Soon after, the need for reliable postal services grew, and in 1754, Edward Dismore was later appointed Postmaster General. He then established a network of post offices throughout the island, many of which remain as major post offices today. In 1776, the main post office was moved from Spanish Town to Harbour Street in Kingston, and in 1860 came the ending of its sub-branch status with the British Post Office. Then came the dreaded 1907 earthquake, which caused significant damage to infrastructure within the parish, to include the main post office. Plans were drawn up to construct a new building to include an automated central sorting office. Work started in the mid-1970s, and the sorting facility fully commissioned in 1980. Today, there is a network of nearly 600 post offices and postal agencies, with the central sorting office at the helm. In May of 1858, Jamaica used its first adhesive postage stamp. These were from Britain and were sent to the colony for use by the locals. In 1860, Jamaica got its own postage stamp. The first ones were valued at 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 pence and a shilling. Soon, the need arose for a halfpenny stamp. The then Postmaster General decided to permit people to cut 1 penny stamps in half, diagonally, and each half would have a recognized value of half a penny. The first pictorial stamp to be used by Jamaica offered a view of Landover Falls in St. Anne. This was in 1900, but the size and color of the stamp were not liked. The stamp was entirely red, and it was known as the bedspread with the Welsh name. So in 1901, Jamaica reissued the stamp in 2 colors, black and red. A set of 4 stamps which featured historic scenes were issued to commemorate the 300th anniversary of British rule in 1955. And in 1956, a series of 16 stamps were issued, showing various local scenery, plants, and animals. When Jamaica gained independence in 1962, these stamps were overprinted with the word independence and the year 1962. Today we see a revolutionized Jamaica with technology at its focus. Now we are able to ship and track mail packaging in real time across the globe with the click of a button. The Jamaica Postal Service has cemented itself as an outstanding service provider, delivering mail items both locally and internationally, the major plank of its core business. And in keeping with the mandate to increase revenue based on customer demands, Jamaica Post has, over the years, expanded its offerings with the introduction of premium services to better serve its customers.
And that's where we leave you today on this edition of Jamaica Magazine. Be sure to join us again tomorrow for another lineup of insightful and engaging content. You can also find more content like this on our website at jis.gov.jm. Don't forget to send us your feedback on today's show or any of our programs via email to jamaicamagazine@jis.gov.jm. On behalf of the entire production crew, I'm Theodore Henry. Walk good.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.